Those who observe complacent behavior sometimes assign a label to the worker. They say the complacent worker is lazy or unmotivated or indifferent or dispassionate or uncaring. And maybe some are. But the label does not fix the problem. Stay tuned. Coming up, we preview the complacency chapter from the book, How Smart Workers Use Situational Awareness to Improve Safety. Hello and welcome to the Situational Awareness Matters Show, episode 369. I'm your host, Rich Gassaway. The purpose of this show is to improve situational awareness and decision-making for individuals and teams who work in high-risk, high-consequence, time-compressed environments with changing conditions. The SA Matters mission is simple. We want to help you see the bad things coming in time to prevent bad outcomes. Today's feature segment is sponsored by Gassaway Virtual Training. There are 33 online programs there for you to choose from. Some of the programs are live events presented virtually, and some of them are pre-recorded programs. To learn more, visit samatters.com website and click on the Virtual Training tab. Okay, let's jump into our feature segment, a preview of the complacency chapter from the book, How Smart Workers Use Situational Awareness to Improve Safety. Complacency, letting your guard down. Complacency is a dangerous affliction and a very challenging barrier to situational awareness for workers in high-risk environments. When a worker becomes complacent, they let their guard down. So what does that mean? It's a cliché to let your guard down. It means the worker is no longer paying attention to the dangerous environment they are in. Paying attention is an essential component to developing and maintaining situational awareness. In fact, it's the very foundation of awareness. You might remember back to earlier conversations when I discussed the three component parts of situational awareness development continuum: perception, understanding, and prediction. These three parts build on each other, and the whole process starts with perception, paying attention. A worker who lets their guard down stops paying attention to the dangerous environment they are working in. This flaws the foundation of awareness and makes understanding and prediction much harder. It's very difficult to anticipate bad outcomes on the horizon when a worker is not paying attention to the often subtle precursors or clues and cues that something is going wrong or is about to go wrong. Logic might dictate the more experience a worker acquires, the more they will understand and respect the dangers in their work environment. However, the opposite can occur. When someone works in a dangerous environment for long periods of time, for example, decades, and they never experience a near miss or a significant injury, that worker can become desensitized to risk. A long history of safe outcomes can cause a worker to become complacent, to become desensitized to how risky their work environment is. It is quite possible for a worker to become blind and deaf to the dangers in their surroundings as well. Of course, this does not happen with purposeful intentionality, but it can happen nonetheless. And when it does, a worker becomes more vulnerable to injury or death because they're no longer paying attention to the dangers in their midst. Like overconfidence and normalized deviance, a worker can become completely unaware that they have become complacent. Those who observe complacent behavior sometimes assign a label to the worker. They say the complacent worker is lazy or unmotivated or indifferent or dispassionate or uncaring. And maybe some are. But the label does not fix the problem. Complacency is the symptom, Asking what caused the worker to become lazy or unmotivated, indifferent, dispassionate, or uncaring can help to uncover and explain what is causing the complacent behavior. Hopefully, the worker does not possess those traits when they were newly hired. If they did, the company should revisit their hiring practices. If the worker was not hired with those bad qualities, then the supervisor should ask him or herself what caused the worker to develop these undesirable qualities. The answer may be revealed by asking the questions outlined in the previous section of this book. But this assumes the worker is willing to give honest, unfiltered answers. Many workers will not because they fear the consequences. The truth is, this fear may be the same thing contributing to the worker's complacency. Sometimes workers are complacent because it's easier than being vigilant. Complacency can help a worker deny anything is wrong. A worker may think, if I ignore the problem, it is eventually going to go away or resolve itself without consequence. And sometimes it does. During one of my consulting trips, I was asleep in my hotel when the fire alarm activated. When this happened, I got out of bed quickly, got dressed, left my room, and started toward the exit. I was keenly aware it would be really bad and for my professional reputation if the situational awareness guy burned up in a hotel room because he ignored the fire alarm. I stepped into the hallway and looked both directions, and there was no smoke and no indication of fire. I decided I would proceed to the lobby to see what the problem was. I wasn't 10 feet up the hallway when the fire alarm turned off. And I thought to myself how peculiar it was that the fire alarm turned off so quickly. When I got to the lobby, the only other person present was the front desk clerk. He was busy answering phone calls. The phone calls went something like this: "No, ma'am, it's a false alarm." "No, sir, it's a false alarm." He might have fielded a dozen calls while I was standing there. The complacent hotel guests were calling the lobby to see if the hotel was really on fire and if they really needed to leave. I'm confident that many of the guests never even got out of bed or made the call. They laid there for a few minutes, and when the alarm turned off, they breathed a sigh of relief and went back to sleep. When the clerk got a break from all the phone call action, I asked him if the alarm had reset. With some alarm systems, if the activation is a result of a slight surge of water pressure, it may cause the alarm to activate. If the clerk hits the reset button after a momentary spike in pressure, the alarm may reset and all is good. However, this was not the case. The clerk had not reset the alarm. Instead, he had silenced the alarm. To silence the alarm means there is some problem that is preventing the alarm from resetting, which actually could be a fire. This fire alarm system had a silence button that allowed the clerk to turn off that loud, annoying, patron-waking hallway buzzer. And that is what he did. He silenced the alarm without any thought or consideration to the fact that there might actually be a fire somewhere in the hotel. Complicating the clerk's complacency was the patron's complacency. Even those who had enough vigilance to at least call the front desk were confidently assured by the clerk that it was a false alarm. Then I heard the siren approaching from the fire engine. I knew when the fire department arrived, they were not going to be happy with the clerk, for he had put so many lives of so many patrons, except me maybe, at risk by silencing the fire alarm. I stepped back into the corner of the lobby so I could witness the browbeating the clerk was sure to be taking from the fire captain. The automatic doors slid open, and into the lobby walked the fire engine crew. All three of them were wearing t-shirts, athletic shorts, and sneakers. I was absolutely stunned. For perspective, when a fire engine responds to a fire alarm, the assumption should be that the building's on fire and that quick actions will be required to save lives. This would mean being well prepared to perform those actions quickly. Well prepared means the firefighters should have entered the lobby wearing their full firefighting protective ensemble, a self-contained breathing apparatus or air tank, and carrying essential tools for search and rescue. They had none of that. The fire crew was also complacent. In the span of less than 10 minutes, I had witnessed 3 significant acts of complacency, all on the premise that the fire alarm was a false alarm. And in fact it was, so everyone's behavior, the patrons, the clerk, and the firefighters, they were all rewarded with a successful outcome. If the alarm were to activate the next evening for an actual fire, chances are very good that most of the patrons would not leave their room, the clerk would silence the alarm, and the fire department would arrive very underprepared for the situation. The sad irony in all of this was that I was the only one who could see all of this complacency. I was the only one in this story who truly believed the fire alarm was a warning for me that something was potentially on fire. The reason why so many patrons and some firefighters assume fire alarms are always false alarms is because of how often actually they are false alarms. And every time those who assume it to be a false alarm are proven right, the more their complacent action becomes a hardwired response in their mind. Complacency kills. Since the start of the pandemic, I've had some amazing opportunities to present my programs on a virtual platform to groups ranging in size from 6 to 400, with recorded playbacks being viewed more than 26,000 times. Here's hoping that vaccinations reduce the number of cases and return us back to some form of normalcy. Here's where I'm going to be upcoming at this point in the game. Well, I just got back from Kansas for doing the Kansas State Firefighters Association Conference, the first live event since the start of the pandemic, so thank you to Kansas for that. On April 22nd, I'll be presenting a situational awareness program for the Mid-South Electric Co-op in Texas. On April 26th, I'll be facilitating the Minnesota Virtual Training Series. This program features John Kriesel talking about how he lost both of his legs in an IED explosion in Iraq and how he managed through the impact of that event. If you want to register for that, go to mbfte.org and click on the calendar for that date, and you can register for that. On May 2nd, I'll be presenting a live in-person situational awareness program for the Hilltop Hose Company in just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. On May 10th, I'll be facilitating the Minnesota Virtual Series again. This program featuring Randy Kern talking about how to have an effective conflict coaching conversation to improve performance. Again, mbfte.org. Click on the calendar if you want to register for that. On May 15th, I'll be doing a program for Henkels & McCoy Electric Energy Company for their line foreman in California. On May 25th, I'll be facilitating the Minnesota Virtual Training Series, this program featuring Peggy Young, talking about strength finders. On May 26th, I'll be presenting a situational awareness program for the Utah Fire Chiefs Association in Salt Lake City, Utah. On June 3rd, I'll be facilitating the Minnesota Virtual Training Series. This program will feature firefighter health and wellness experts from the MinFire Initiative talking about cardiac health, cancer, and mental health. On June 8 and 9, I'll be presenting 2 programs for the Fire Chiefs Association of British Columbia for their annual conference. And on June 14 through 16, I'll be presenting 3 situational awareness, safety, and leadership programs for the Clark County Fire Protection District No. 6 in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you to the organizations that have allowed me to offer your members virtual training, and a special thanks to the agencies that have postponed and now are rescheduling programs from 2020. If you're interested in hosting a virtual program or a live event, just click on the Contact Us tab at the top of the SA Matters homepage and I'll give you a call. Finally, remember to check out our show notes for how to subscribe to our newsletter and how to follow us on social media. There we share ideas about how to improve situational awareness, how to make better decisions under stress, and how to improve the skills of critical thinking and resilient problem solving. Well, that's it. Episode 369 of the Situational Awareness Matters show is complete. Thank you to our viewers and listeners for sharing some of your valuable time with me today. I really appreciate your support of the SA Matters mission. Be safe out there, and may the peace of the Lord and strong situational awareness be with you always.
You've been listening to the Situational Awareness Matters show with Dr. Richard Gasaway. If you're interested in learning more about situational awareness, human factors, and decision-making under stress, visit his website, samatters.com. If you're interested in booking Dr. Gasaway for a program, or if you would like to be a guest on his show, click the Contact Us tab at the top of the homepage.